Hello and welcome to Tech Space, where we'll briefly discuss some interesting industry concepts and industry trends. And I'm delighted to welcome our guest today, Colin Mallet, the CEO of Trusted Renewables, a Multos Consortium partner member. So Colin, welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Pleasure being involved with Multos.
It's always enlightening to talk to you, Colin. And today's subject is smart green energy. And I have here a prop. This is a solar-powered garden light, the type my wife has spread around her garden at home. And of course, this device isn't particularly clever. It turns itself on at night and off in the morning, but there's no smart technology inside that device. And that's very different to the solar-powered proof of concept that we worked on with you a short while ago. And on the background screen here, you can see extracts from the case study that we published on our website recently that show details about that proof of concept. And the Multos Smart microcontroller in the red circle there in the top right is acting as a hardware root of trust for that smart solar panel. And it's providing a unique identity for the panel itself and also authenticity for the green energy that the panel is generating. So it's a really interesting project to work on. So thank you for that, Colin. And we just wondered, since that project, what level of market interest have you seen around this concept?
Thank you. We've received quite a lot of interest in this, actually. The reason is that there are certain areas of technology that are moving very quickly. And one of them is the linking of blockchains through to the Internet of Things. And when I came up with this idea of the smart solar panel, we filed the patent in 2009, it was quite early days. Now, the other thing that is turning out to be quite critical now that we thought about when we did the invention is that increasingly the Internet of Things is going to be subject to cyber attack. And one of the ways that you sort that out is by reusing well understood technology. The idea of a smart card chip being able to receive metering data from a solar panel and then to be able to hash the data is very interesting, because then this leads through to the idea of actually linking through to blockchains. But what's been happening while we finished the POC is blockchains have been changing as well. And we're now on to third generation blockchains, because the problem with the old ones, which were called, which use things like proof of work, which is fine for a Bitcoin, but they're very slow. Now, the third generation one isn't actually a blockchain. It is a thing called Hedera hash graph. And I'm very pleased to say that the Hedera hash graph has its roots in the people that I've been dealing with in the e-commerce and smart card industry. And when I mentioned to them that this POC looked at the idea of a smart solar panel containing the cryptographic root of trust actually within the panel, that is extremely compatible with the smart energy ecosystem, which is now developing. And you'll see in the thing, we were talking about energy trading using smart contracts and validating with certificates of origin. This is now becoming very interesting. And in fact, we're hoping, we don't know whether we will yet because we're waiting for the results, but we're hoping to be able to share our knowledge as part of the COP26 event. And the reason for that is that a lot of people, including Greta, are now talking about greenwash. And obviously, if we use well understood technology, we can demonstrate all the way back to the root of where the power is generated. We can demonstrate that it really is verified using exactly the same technology as you use when you put your PIN number into a machine and get some money out.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating how much it leads on to in terms of future technology. Just that one concept, it is quite incredible, I think, and that's interesting, because that leads us on to the next subject. So the second topic we briefly wanted to talk about is the subject of EV charging. So as we know, many of us are seeing this global trend of electric vehicle adoption around the world. And of course, it's supporting infrastructure of EV charging facilities. And there was a recent quote from Grand View Research that claimed that the global market for the EV charging infrastructure was valued at over 15 billion US dollars last year in 2020. And that's expected to grow at a growth rate of 33% over the next 8 years or so. So clearly it's a very advancing and growing market, and there's lots of innovation I'm sure we're going to see in the EV charging sector, and payments, of course, is one of those areas. So we just wondered how the smart solar panel concept would lead on potentially perhaps being used in the EV charging sector.
Well, this is very exciting because we certainly didn't know about this when we invented the idea. And what we discover is that it actually fits very nicely into the EV charging ecosystem from an end-to-end point of view. And that shouldn't be any surprise, because in the 2000s, I spent a lot of time thinking about SIM cards and mobile applications. And in fact, at one stage, I was responsible for a major telecom provider's mobile application platforms corporate research program. And of course, the ultimate mobile application platform is the electric vehicle. And so what we're now seeing is a use case where somebody has their own identity and they have an e-wallet which they own. And in that e-wallet, it's filled full of various tokens. And these tokens can have a monetary value. And increasingly, we're talking about the Uberization of cars. I mean, okay, the Boris bike was an early idea, but one of the things that people are talking about is that you get on HS2 and you get out off at the station, which would be a parkway station, and waiting for you, all fully charged, would be an electric vehicle that you drive to your destination. That destination, what might involve driving the EV into a car park, and the car park, on the roof of the car park and the buildings round it, would have solar panels. And the solar panels would be generating the electricity, which could then be fed into the EV. But because these are smart solar panels, they're not only generating the electricity, but they are also generating immutable tokens. These are tokens which prove that this EV has been charged with green electricity. And this then raises a number of interesting use cases. For example, if you have smart solar panels on your roof, or you own a share in a solar installation, so you're given green tokens from the smart solar panels, these can be in your e-wallet. And when you arrive at your station or your airport or your destination, perhaps you pick up an electric taxi cab, which has been sitting in the rank, which has been charged through a wireless charging system, and the cab driver offers you a price in money, fungible money. Alternatively, he might encourage you, if you have some in your wallet, to pay with green e-tokens that you've earned because you've got your smart solar panels. Now, if the taxi driver accumulates these green e-tokens and he puts them into his wallet, he can then prove that his taxi cab is being charged with green electricity. And I'm sure that the local authorities would like this very much.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating, Colin. It really is, because the green technology overlapping into payments is really also another developing area. And I think we have heard about some specifications being worked on in that area. And I think probably in a future session we might go into that in some more detail. But certainly what you said there is really, really visionary, I think, and really interesting to hear about. So I think that's probably all we've got time for today, Colin. So thank you very much for your time and your thoughts and your visions on these interesting subjects. And thank you, of course, to everyone at home for watching and listening. And please look out for future editions of TechSpace. And we bid you farewell. Thank you.
I'd just like to say thank you for the Maltos Consortium for the incredible help that and friendship we've got from the other members. And I would commend working with Maltos to everybody.